All right, good day. This is Kumon, El Dorado Hills Town Center with just a guide for parents home grading. So I'll just briefly give you a little introduction and then we'll talk about checking answers and marking the worksheets and then summarizing the worksheets. So you should have received one of these in your enrollment packet, and it's the parent guide for home grading. And they will, I'll let you read this stuff at home, but they will give you some guidings for the symbols that we use here in class time or after class time for our graders as well. Correct. And then we use typically the line for indicating a fully wrong answer, and then a triangle for a partial error. So I'll go over some of that as well, but this is usually inside of your enrollment packet. So I'm going to use an example of a C1 reading. And you'll see the worksheet number. This one is a little bit ripped, but it's C161. And A just means the top of the page, and B is the opposite side of the page. And so we can see that in C1, I'm going to look up 61, and there's section 1 and section 2. So section 1 here, and then section 2 on the other side. So the first thing that I'll do is share about checking answers. So you will get the correct book for the correct worksheet. Again, looking at the number 61. And then we have section 1 and section 2. For different levels, they are marked a little bit differently. It might be side A, side B. And we'll just start with the first page here. And so 61, section 1, you can see that there's really no answers because they are just reading the material. Flip it over to side 2. You may not have these stapled when you're correcting at home just yet, but some of these have been corrected already. All right, and then 61B, you can see, or the B side, section 2. Section 1 just has their reading time, and section 2 here will show us that the middle dot is the correct answer. Middle dot is the correct answer. Therefore, we will make a big circle on this page. That means correct. For the next side, 62, I can see 62, section 1. And I can just go back down there just as a word of parental guidance here. As your student is working through their worksheets, please remember to have them read the example even a couple times, or even go over that with them so they knew the new concept being introduced. Because we can see that there were several errors here in this one. So I'm going to go with section 1, number 1, section 1, number 1. This should be laugh. The answer here was laughed, so that will be need to be corrected. Number B here, are laughing, and we have were laughing. So at this point, if you were working with your student, you'd have them reread the example before continuing. Number 2, okay, number 2A, are listening, they have a word listening. Section B here, listens, that is correct. So we won't make any markings there. For A, the answer is crying, and we have cries here. So that is a fully incorrect. And then for B, we have cry. So that one is correct. So we won't make a big circle on this because there were some errors. And just one other side on this one. And we are looking for fully correct answers on these. And if they are, like for instance, if this one, we just missed a period on this one, we would typically use the triangle symbol right here as a partially incorrect answer. This particular one was missing some words and an incorrect use of the verb. So again, this is 62, and this will be section 2, section 2. So we're going to say, I do read. I'm not going to mark that one wrong. It is the correct answer for that one, and a good sentence. Yes, I am listening. Is crying. For section 3 down here, we're going to see that the answer should be the babysitter is laughing with the children. We're looking for present progressive. The babysitter, not fully putting in all the words, laughed with the children, and then an incorrect no end mark for their sentence. So that would be fully incorrect. And same with down here, the rocket lands on the moon, the rocket landed on the moon. So two things that needed to be corrected there. So the students will correct these in class if the graders here are grading them. Okay, so just some examples on that. So that is how to check answers. There were several on here. Here's an example of a partially incorrect answer. It is correct wording. They did even have a period at the end of the sentence here, but it's incorrect spelling. So I wouldn't do anything but mark it with a triangle and then just underline the area if you want to give them a little bit of guidance for where to correct. We won't be marking that. I was just using that as an example. Same with this one. The only thing incorrect is the end mark, and so that was just partially incorrect. Okay, so that is it for checking answers. I will say too, just as a reminder that the students will, so for this problem right here, you should guard your wallet carefully. They were given the letters R, D, and missing letters were G, U, A. We are asking them to complete the sentences fully. So they are going to start with the letters that are missing and then trace the letters that are there for them as a help, so that they're used to writing the full word and not just partial words. Okay, here's an example of both sides when we have these summaries or markings on top for how many were incorrect or 100%, then that means both sides of this were correct, both circled, and then we can go back and do this 100%. So that's how we are summarizing our pages. So it's best to just go ahead and correct the whole package. And then you're going to go back to the front and you will check both front and back. So we know that both front and back is correct. So we're going to mark that 100%. Below here, so that's 0 mistakes. And we won't mark it until we see a 1 mistake. So anything 1 and above, we would have circled the 69%. Okay. And so after checking answers, now we're talking about marking the incorrect answers or 100% on the page. And then this is what we call summarizing. So on our first page, we have 100%, and we'll just make a dash there. On our second page, we did show 4 wrong, 4 or more. And so we're going to go ahead and mark, so we see how many mistakes, and we're going to mark that area. And we're going to just use the first number as the summary. So back on our first page, we have a 100%, and then a 69%, and then the 69%, the same thing, 90%, 100%, and then we have the same thing here. So this summarizes the pages for us, and it will help us enter it into record book. So this is a parent graded sheet. You can use whatever pen you have at hand, but it is nice to have the red as well. Okay, and so this is called home grading. Students will receive 2 Kumon cash for each parent graded packet instead of 1, where we're doing the grading here. So we're marking correct pages with a full circle, fully incorrect answers with a line, partially incorrect with the triangle. You can see that. And then we want you to, we're circling the pages. This is for front and back of each page. So front and back. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. And so I'm marking that. So we're just taking the grading on the top of the page and we're just summarizing it on the front. Now we're just using the first number here for the area that was circled on the pages. Okay, so grading, checking correct answers, marking, and this is summarizing. Thank you.